Bonjour, mabuhay global citizens. We're flying back to Edmonton, Alberta to meet two inspiring business leaders. Are you ready? Let's go. Hello, mabuhay and bonjour since we're in Canada. Hello everyone. We are here in Edmonton, Canada, and one of the Filipino entrepreneurs here in Alberta, Canada, Mr. Joe Medina. An honor to be interviewing him about his passion and about, of course, the community, the Filipino community here in Alberta. How are you, Joe?
I'm very good. Thank you.
Well, let's talk about your passion for basketball. I'd like to talk about the Joe Medina Cup and the Filipinos' love and passion for basketball.
Yeah. Well, it actually started with the Joe Medina Cup. All started with PSA. PSA is the Filipino Sports Association that we have. That we actually have our own league, which I sponsored, and it got to a point. The league was so big. My last count, it had 1,500 athletes at one point, Filipinos all around, because we went from Edmonton to Calgary, all the way down to Saskatchewan, to get the draw. And I sponsored most of the leagues, all those small areas, so they can actually go out and have their own tournament and stuff. So at one point, 1,500 people. And once that came through, and that's been going on, PSA's been going on probably for the last 10 years. And before that, I think we were involved with FIFA, which I sponsored for 3 years. So I've been really involved in the basketball community for the last 15 to 20 years. I play myself, and getting old now, can't do that anymore. But the Medina Cup came about when we had a chance to play at the Edmonton Expo Center when the Edmonton Stingers they were done for the season, and they wanted to see if we would be available to actually go use the gym. And I think it was a 3-day event. It was a long weekend. And Reed Clark, who was the president at the time for the Edmonton Stingers, came to me and said, "Hey, I got this gym, I got this auditorium or a stadium ready." He says, "Do you want to use it?" So we did really fast. Within 2 weeks, we were able to at least, I think, get about 10 teams. But at the same time, we wanted to get the kids involved. So we had an under U15 basketball team, all Filipinos playing, and there was about 6 teams in there, and they went and played for the championship. And moving forward, since this is the 3rd year, we are now, the U15 is part of the tournament, which now we've got to 8, 16, 21 teams from all over Alberta, which is Fort McMurray, Peace River, even some in Lloydminster, that's coming in here to represent their cities or towns to play in the tournament. So it's a really exciting time. It seems to keep growing.
What can you say about the passion of Filipinos in basketball and why it's thriving here in Alberta?
I think it's the age group. There's a lot of younger Filipinos, a different generation coming up, and it's something that's really been. It's a passion back in the Philippines. It's not soccer, it's basketball. So it's totally different. It's a sport that everybody can play, but at the same time, it also just needs support. And having people support the businesses around Edmonton, and at the same time, it's the pride. It's the pride of your team winning and competing, but at the same time for a good cause. I mean, sportsmanship is everything. They just actually started the PSA tournament, and now they actually have an age bracket, so maybe I might play for people over 50. So it used to be 45, can't compete with 45-year-olds, but 50 I might have a shot. So it's fun, and we're talking about from 15-year-olds to 50-year-olds. The nice thing also is, in the off season, people from the PSA, staff from the PSA, get together and do clinics, which is really cool because it helps kids really play basketball the proper way and get proper coaching. They do that for a weekend. So there's getting a lot of support from the old generation, getting the new generation to play the game that they love.
That's the best part of the sport, right? anyone from the family, all ages, all walks of life
Exactly.
can play it, and now all over the world as well, right?
Yeah.
All the way to Alberta.
It was somebody's idea. I like to keep it very low key. When this tournament came up and they said, hey, let's call it Joe Medina Cup. And I'm going, okay. I've supported the community and I don't want to be the one bragging about it. I just want to make sure that everybody keeps growing and at the same time keeps getting better or whatever it is. If it's passion's basketball, let's do it. Right? Let's make it happen.
It's also inspiring for the new generation to have a reference in the community.
Yeah.
So thank you. I'm sure people are interested how you started your career and your life here in Canada.
Well, I got here when I was 15 years old, and just like any young kid, I mean, to get here in the middle of winter, December or January, it was minus 30, and I didn't know what winter was coming from the Philippines, and got really introduced to it. Found out what winter was when I walked from the bus stop to go home, and I didn't have gloves on, and I froze my hands, and had that feeling of I didn't know what freezing was until that day, and it hurted. What minus 30 means, what freezing hands means, and dressed properly means, coming from the Philippines was a challenge. But coming through and growing up and going to high school and going to school and getting into the car business was a totally different thing. I had an opportunity. I think it was ingrained in me from my parents. I mean, every Filipino parent wants to make sure their kid does really well, but at the same time the message was passed, which is do your best. Whatever it is that you do, make sure you're the best. So I always made sure that I did everything properly, with integrity, and at the same time hard work. I got a chance when I got into the car business. I was the lot guy. I was the guy parking the cars. That was my job. And when an opportunity came up and they said, hey, you know what, you want to continue to be the lot guy or you want to be a salesperson? I'll always remember this story because I think it's so true, because I was 19 or 20 years old. I didn't own a suit. So I went to one of my friends and I said, you know what, I think I want to be a salesman. Can I borrow one of your suits? And he said, yeah, sure, no problem. I borrowed his suit. Of course, it was too long because he was taller than I was. And I remember going in and grabbing some staplers, and I stapled the bottom to make sure it was the right height. And I showed up to work the next day, and the manager goes, I guess you wanted to be a salesperson. And I said, yes, I want to be the salesperson. And I sold my first car. Right?
19.
20, I think 20 years old. 20 years old. Back then, I think the minimum wage was $3.25. And I remember going in, and once I got my commission check, and I made $400 in that one sale. And all I did was made sure that I showed the car, I was nice to the people. I didn't know much about selling. I was just being me, with a lot of excitement, but at the same time telling them that I am new to this business. And people love honesty, sincerity. I think they recognize that. And when they bought the car, it was a great feeling. But when I started doing the math of $400 compared to $3.25, and how long I would have to actually work in order to make that kind of income, I thought, this is something I can make a career out of. And that's how it started. From there we went, and I wanted to expand and learn. I was a top salesperson at Crosstown, and then the job opening came in finance. With a little bit of education and training, I was able to get into as a finance manager. As a finance manager, I became a sales manager. After about 4 years, 1993, new owners came in 1993, and took me about 6 months. Finally, they went out and said, hey, how would you like to be a sales manager? So we did that as a sales manager for a little bit, and we did well. We were number one in Canada once we became a sales manager. being number one in Canada is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're competing with back then about 320 Chrysler dealers all across Canada, and
Amazing.
we sold more cars than people in the East with a higher population. Then we became the general manager. As general manager of Crosstown, my responsibility is to continue to be profitable and to be number one, to be a leader in the Chrysler community anyways.
Yeah.
But the nice thing about this is, with all the Filipinos that has come along the way, and the people that we've sent, the Filipino community actually supported me by going out, making sure they were coming in here for their automotive needs, which was really cool. But then at the same time, we were able to find financing for them, because sometimes it's very challenging, right? Because back then, the interest rates and qualifications and all that stuff was a little bit tougher, and we were able to help them. And the word just gets around. I mean, referral business starts coming. I asked for partnership back in 1997 for Crosstown. I said, if I'm here, had a lot of job offers, but I've always been one of these loyal people.
Wow.
In 1997, we went and I got my partnership. They gave me a little piece of the pie. And from there, in 2000, the company kept expanding. We went public in 2006. I was vice president of finance operations, and with Auto Canada, I took care of all the finance operations for all of Canada back then. And finally, it got to a point where I had my kid. I wanted to spend some more time, so I backed off it, and then I said, okay, let me just take care of Crosstown, and that's what I've been doing since.
I feel like I'm in Manila right now.
There you go. There you go. I know what it's like, because if you go to Westin in Maui, they call it Little Manila, because there's so many Filipinos working there, right?
That's pretty awesome. And this is like a little Westin, I guess.
Yeah, this little Westin. Yeah. We just want to make a difference. I mean, an opportunity come in, but at the same time, they work hard.
Yeah. True.
Right? They're hard, they're humble, and I know I can depend on them. So it's what makes this place successful.
I'm proud of you guys. I'm proud of what you're doing for our Filipino community. I'm pretty sure for our families back home as well, back in the Philippines, and contributing to Canadian society at the same time.
Yeah. I'm just, like I said, I just want to make a difference to all these people, but at the same time making a difference to the community. I'm here for your support.
And play some basketball on the side.
Yeah, exactly.
Or every weekend if you can.
My focus now is to go out and develop people. That is my job. My job is to go and watch people, develop them into the next level, which I love watching all these people grow.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had some sales of Filipinos in here. I got tons of Filipino working here, which started as a salesperson.
And what makes working with fellow Filipinos unique?
You know what makes them unique? They actually are patient and listen, and the number one thing is humble. Okay? They're very humble people, and it's so much easier to work with the Filipino community or the Filipino staff if they know exactly what they need to do, get direction, but at the same time they get better at it, right? And that's what gives me joy, is when I see them progress and develop. That to me is I've done my job. So love watching them grow and watching their families grow and everything else, this is what I'm here for. I'm here to go out, and I'm not here to make a living anymore. I'm here to make a difference, and that's what I'm doing.
What can you say about the Filipino community here in Edmonton or in Alberta?
The community continues to grow. When I start seeing dental offices, restaurants, the biggest thing right now is the real estate. I mean, there are so many realtors that's in the Filipino, because the population has grown so much that Filipinos want to deal with Filipinos, because they understand Filipinos, right? We don't make rash decisions. We think about everything, and we want to make sure we're making the right decision each and every time. It takes a certain amount of patience to do that, and it takes a different type of person to understand what that is, because it is a big investment. So when I watch this all grow, I mean, They have that Filipino Business Association Society, which we hosted them here one day. And I saw how many people were here. It is unbelievable. And it makes me proud to be part of it, but at the same time, watching everyone get to that next level. I see a lot of investments coming in here. I mean, like with Seafood City, right? Max's Restaurant, all these things coming from back home. Coming in, yeah, right? VideoGaga,
Small business,
right? But the thing is, they're coming in here. That means that's good, because now you got more support, more exposure, right? And people will know what Filipinos are all about.